rabbit hole to start with. There are no rabbits, I think, in this show, actually. There are holes.
Yeah.
Uh, but there are other creatures.
Yes.
So
Yes.
can you, but then they are slightly mysterious in
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
ways. Speak a little bit about figuration, drawing specific figures, and then showing them in a more
Yeah.
occluded or mysterious
Yeah.
kind of way.
Yeah. Basically, rabbit hole appears to me like overall, whenever the figuration comes to my mind, I was like going with the kind of a, from my beginning of my life as a painter. So many things was coming like a, that coming from the narrative school in Baroda, and like I seen many from my childhood, like from my father and JJ, and seen the many masters who's worked with me, Habar and Anis Bendre, and in my childhood. And I seen like many artists like from like big generation gap also, but like seen kind of how they dealt with the kind of subject matter and the kind of emotions and figuration and kind of mostly like how when artists portray that something like that it comes to very personal or human emotion or something comes very loud or between the background foreground the clear images or outline based images or very clear some kind of incidents which is very personal to the human. More than an artist, I'm saying that how humans see the other human doing something on the painting on the they relate with that or very uh, it is very clear things, no? Even though how the rabbit is not there when you say, or I said ki rabbit is not there. Like same thing like when I'm showing the emotion or my way of looking at the kind of my experiences and how my emotions are reflecting towards different kind of socio-political issues and my whole experiences from my childhood to till now. And even though kind of a painterliness which when comes as a painterly when I'm painting the painterliness like I don't want to overpower the medium like I want to have some idea about the making the figuration or some kind of a gesture or posture of the human being from myself like metaphoric way of making something which is very I was saying like there is a kind of a conflict between the surface me and the medium itself. So
Yeah.
when you're overpowering the medium, when you have a pre-notion idea, then you're just transferring the whole thing, and you're trying your best to, like take out that image very clearly. Like you're trying your best to image should what I thought it should come clearly. So here, I thought is bit like a very pressure, giving the kind of a pressure towards the process to come out something like that. As far as like I always think about the critical part of it.
Yes.
In the critical part of it as a painter towards the painterliness, like not having the so why should I? So that I think somewhere the rabbit hole also come, like how emotion comes and goes.
Yes.
And I'm not giving the any frozen movement somewhere. It's still moving, and there's the path is there. Like when just rabbit passed by, or rabbit is like a metaphor of my thoughts or any emotion which you seen the because I always very close to the animals from my childhood. Like from I lived in the tribal and very rural life. So, but rabbits are like I kept the rabbit. But when you want to hold the rabbit, when you want to see the rabbit from the very close, it's no more rabbit. When rabbit is just came and gone somewhere, then is rabbit, like the feel of rabbit. The rabbit is not like you're holding on your like or you're keeping the photograph of rabbit is gone. Like when you click the rabbit picture and you see the picture, rabbit is not there. But it's very clear thing. Like even the same thing in the painting also, things are there very clear thing. So it is there, but you see that what you planned, you made it, but at the same time it is not there. So that I think it is very tough for as an artist also, because when I'm making it and something is not clear, then there is kind of a dialogues between me and the painting itself.
Yes.
Like when to how to start, how to give the space, or about the same thing I was talking to the Bhai also about the background and foreground. So that you always use the emotion and your idea or your perception towards the painting. It comes very loud manner when and everything goes into the background, like background treating, and there is the kind of the distance between that. But I always seen things are merging there, or same time it appears, same time it disappears also. appearing and disappearing same time. So I think there I enjoy the kind of a painterly approach towards not having the pre-notion like have a rabbit hole, then something should be obvious or something should be like when I say something about the personal feeling or personal emotions. So personal emotion, whatever I receive from the whatever I have the personal emotion, when we call this my personal emotion, my personal whatever I write or whatever I keep in my heart, I think which I came to know like it is not personal because it's happening because of the third person's reaction towards something, and he's part of that whole feeling. So I'm only making my part of it. Like when you get hurt from somebody, but somebody is hurting you also. So his personal thing I cannot portray. Here I'm portraying myself also. So it is a very rigid or very fixed way of showing the emotion in painting. So I was doing that in between that, giving and taking the emotion, and something is you receive the happiness or sadness or sorrow or pain or anything, but in between the process of shuffling from here to there, their painterliness exists for me.
Yeah. So you've said, I mean, you've covered a lot of ground in that, and I want to kind of segment it in a way. Clarity is something that in a way you are speaking against, a certain kind of clarity. But in a discussion, it's also helpful. So if you don't mind, I will try and make those sorts of distinctions.
Yeah.
So you spoke about Chhattisgarh, Hebbar, Bendre.
Yeah.
That's one thing. You spoke about Baroda and the narrative tradition.
Yeah.
So these are two very important kind of precursors
Yeah.
for your vision. So what you were saying is that Hebbar and Bendre, and I'd like you to speak a little bit maybe about specifically that, Chhattisgarh, your father, Hebbar and Bendre, because that's the start of your exposure to art. And then we'll move to Baroda and beyond.
Yeah. So like I brought up in Kharagad, like my father was from JJ, and it was surrounded by tribal and very rural setup in that time. And I was studying in the very normal government school in the village with the different tribes and different 25 villages. The students are coming from all the villages. So I was not aware about anything in the urban things. I had not been to Bombay that time. I know the only Kharagad as the planet, like for me. So that when they came, they arrived as a visiting, like my father, and they all made the whole faculty together. Then KK Hebbar and Bendre came, and we lived together in that time, in the one house. And that time Solapurkar and many other people came, and we started living with them. And they are like talking about the whole movement, about the group, the Bombay Progressive and this thing. And the Calcutta, also Shantini Geetan, Sanatkar sir and Ajit sir, they also come and join. So basically the school wise and their process of towards making something, they're going with the sketchbook and making the landscape there. They're making the kind of a KK Hebbar, the one series of the cows, they're taking even the NS Bendre, they're getting the color and they're talking about the colors and all those things. And it was there in my mind, and because I lived there, like I was going with the part of that, the people who are taking the cow in the forest, I was part of, they are my friends. So for me, it is not an alien world, or for me, it is not like something very where I want to explore something. But they were like very keen looking at each and everything. They're going with the camera, they're going with the sketchbook, and I'm looking at them how they want to. And it was a very because the Bombay NS Bendre, they are very particular about each and everything, keeping the brush, and they come in the brush, the whole practicing. So, but I'm not learned that thing because I'm coming from that kind of schooling. Like I was a bit raw and rough in that whole approach. Even though people say they're very spontaneous way of making, then I totally grew into that kind of thing. Then I went to the Baroda. Then I seen many.
Just before you go to Baroda, I just want to clarify for people who don't know. Your father was a teacher and in an art school, but he chose not to live in the campus. He chose to live in the village.
That's long.
I think that's quite important because there's a so he had all these friends from JJ who came and they were visiting faculty. but then you would live in a place without even electricity and stuff
Yes, yes,
like
yes.
that.
So that was a very tragic story also for my mother. Like when my mother married to my father, to knowing that he's teaching in JJ that time, he's a fellow in JJ, and from Bombay. And from Bombay, my father one decided like, and his brother, "Okay, but why not you coming?" My father is from Chhattisgarh, but when they called like you should go to Chhattisgarh, there is something UGC is planning to open the university, and you should go and open the institute there, and that whole process. And he went back, like to the really deep rural village, like deep. Uh, so that whole process was like my father and other his contemporaries that time, all other professors, they decided to send their children to the bigger school nearby the bigger town to. But my father said like no, because when he's there, he should study the whatever school is there, like so he told me to go there. So even though there is no teacher, there is no roof also, sometime it is a very bad condition. We're sitting in the ground. So I was I was not aware. My mother is aware about what is a good life, what is between that. But I born there, so for me it is a nothing like I have to curse for something which is offered by. So he gifted me when I was in class 8. He gifted me the 2 cows to take care of it. Like that is a gift for you. So it's like this kind of surprises came, and from tomorrow the gift I got, and because for me that gift was a precious gift, because I was like in the tribal with nice cows, and he said keep kal se gobar uthana, and you have to learn how to do the milking and all. So I learned everything, and from next day he said like why not, because there is so much milk now, you should go. And my other professor colleagues who's the professor in the sitar, somebody in the sarod, somebody's in the tabla, different people came to teach there. The professors are there, like who's living nearby. तो ऐसे कि उनके यहाँ 1 लीटर दूध देना है, उनके 2 लीटर दूध देना है, उनके ½ लीटर दूध देना. And carrying the whole like dabbas or cans with me every morning, and going to the somebody's like a professional sitar, and he's tuning the sitar, and he's saying, "Arey Shrivastava ji, बैठो बैठो बैठो, दूध ले आया, बढ़िया, very nice, बैठो." And I'm going to some classical singer, he's doing the riyaz or something in the morning, alap and all. So I have to sit there in his staircase, like to wait for him to finish that. So that whole thing, it was an irritating thing, like going there with the dabbas, and because my classmates are looking at, and other people are also looking at, and they're telling my father also, "Arey Shrivastava ji, what you doing with your son? इसको पढ़ा अच्छे स्कूल में भेज दो, इसे आपने गाय दे दिया, चरवाहा बना दिया, दूध भेज दे." But slowly, like whole thing, like like, I don't know what happened to me. Like I started knowing the sitar very well, the tabla, and the whole thing, the way of keeping the tabla, that whole riyaz thing, how do the alap, and every day like I'm sitting there, I'm listening to the classical music without any forceful thing. Otherwise, you always play the thing. My father never played the sitar or any records in the home, but he's almost sending this kind of works. So that whole thing came to me, the whole Chhattisgarh came to me, taking my cow to the forest and coming back with taking the cow with the, like 2 cows, I'm taking care of them. And so that whole thing, like connecting with the other villagers and communicating with them. So that came to my mind as many experiences, like lots of things, or not only the happiness about somebody is not well in the village and the hospital is 15 kilometers far, then we are sitting in the Belgadi and with the body and going for 15 kilometers from here to there night sometime. So the night escape, and there's no electricity also that time. They only once in the week sometime. So electricity, I used to watch the bulb also, like this is the big surprise. Like I'm keep looking at staring the bulb, like this is the good thing just came after a long time. The night escape, there's no light after 6-7 o'clock. The whole village becomes like a dark, and looking at with the light of the lantern, the small thing, and every evening you are cleaning the lalchin, putting the kerosene in that, and cutting that, and putting the kerosene wherever the people are working, and otherwise this whole village is dark.
Yeah.
So, but exploring that,
Yeah. So the jungle, obviously, I mean, I think it's a very important kind of background, because it's so much in all of your work.
Yeah.
That memory, and of course, memories of childhood, I think, are often extremely important, even the most important things in artists' careers. One of the things, for example, is that you rarely have horizons in your large paintings. It's an overall kind of thing. That sense of something enveloping you
Yeah.
that you get, I
Yeah.
think is very important. Something, whereas in a city, there's always some kind of horizon, some kind of break.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So sometimes like even the whatever I gained from there, now here the thing is that I wherever I live, like because it's like adopting the kind of your current
Yes.
place, and you're having those things like what my experiences. That's why Chhattisgarh never came like a very obvious way to me. It comes like a sometimes the treatment and the kind of a bold approach without having the pre-notion, because I am not trained as a keeping the some idea in my mind and doing something, having something and exploring. Because my school also not taught me like that kind of thing, or
Yes.
not nobody expected me in my childhood that what you have some idea to say, or not. I'm not preparing the assignment or project for the school, because the school was like very normal in the village, right? So you come and go only this thing kind of thing. So
Yeah.
that whole situation in the city, when you say Bombay urban, when I came here from Baroda to Bombay, I shifted from Baroda to Bombay. I think because that time Baroda was like all big people, the big artists are roaming around, and like big names are there around. But for me, like I was always uh, kept myself like how the when you see the some farmer or when they come to the very social, like some tribals comes and they sit in the corner, and their dialogues are relevant or not, they're thinking about it, like their reaction is relevant or not. And if you say ask him like are you in trouble, they say yes, I am in trouble, or something like that. I kept myself like that. I'm not, that was I think my nature, not fascinated by the something very big, like who's the school was like that Baroda school, and some biggies are there around, and I'm admiring them like they are something. So eh, the admiring somebody, it was not my cup of tea, like like I kept myself like about the process, not admiring completely, like I get the, because the subconscious mind which I am having, it is full of the kind of experiences.
Yep.
So I don't have much space for the this kind of a new, it is clash. That's why my first show was a trespasser and translator. The translator was like like came because I came from like Hindi and Chhattisgarh background. So for me it was difficult to manage in Baroda, like to, because whatever professors saying, they are speaking in English, and many things are they giving the books to the students like related to the work. So but for me like I'm not the book person. I'm not like looking at the books and going through the what they wrote, what they worked on. So it helped me in that, to kept myself untouched by those kind of things.
But
Yeah.
let me just sticking to Baroda, then there it has a strong figurative and narrative
Yeah.
tradition.
Yeah.
And we've spoken of the JJ tradition and Hebar and this. So just speak about how you reacted against, in some ways,
Yeah.
the Baroda tradition that was so strong that you were being
Yeah,
taught.
so because Indian, when you say Indian painters, and when you see the entire process from Bombay artist, JJ artist, and Shantiniketan, I seen, because it was in between Kharagarh, very close to the Shantiniketan also, and in between somewhere, but it was not heavy influenced by the others, like it's a very raw place, like. So understanding the kind of language wise, when I went to Baroda school, it was a heavy narrative school, and I was trained, because my drawing and my painting, the figurative was, I was very much into the, very good in that, right, figurative. But questioning that again, questioning that narrative school, I started making a more figuration. But the stories I was thinking like putting all your emotion, all the stories in different corners of the painting. It's like you're fitting the story in the one surface, in the square, right? So there I was a bit unhappy about that, the kind of showing the narrative school in that way. We're assembling everything together, because I need some kind of I always seen the emotion with the different lights and different kind of a breeze, different kind of feel out of it. Any emotion goes, it always have a itself. It's having any tiny emotion also, like earthworm, and any kind of thing comes out, and even the tree is having the breeze around. Why the human, when you make the tree and when you make the human body around the tree, is obvious way the human takes all the thing from the viewers. So there I was like, why everywhere I'm putting the story behind the tree, near the river, the human sitting, or somebody's holding the something, the human emotion. So that conflict between that, because then I'm controlling the controlling the surface with my brush. Like, I like hear the this thing coming.
Yeah,
or
you
that
don't draw at all.
No,
you
I
don't.
don't draw
Yeah,
at all.
I mean, you have drawings, but not on
Yeah,
your
I
canvases.
kept my drawing. That's why I first made the Dr. Qureshi one series. Like I think that break that first attempt towards breaking the stories in the different way. I started making the stories in the different drawings in the series of the 40 drawings, where the story is very clear in the black and white drawings, which is I ooze out if I have, because I'm a storyteller, from childhood. But stories, when stories are suffocating in the painting, I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to put all the stories there. So I'm making and Dr. Qureshi, with his gesture of his riding his moped, and he's going towards the village, and I'm standing somewhere in the village. I'm looking at him, and he's having the beard, big beard, and breeze, because of that breeze is his beard split from here, and the whole thing is so dramatic. He's coming like angel because the doctor is coming to village. It is like an angel is coming from the god, for any villager. Like he's, oh, Dr. Qureshi is coming, Dr. Qureshi is coming. Like, because there is no doctors around, only one hospital was there, and his big pajama was is going like this, like his wings, and moped was very small, and he's quite big man. So it gave me the very dramatic feel out of it. Like, I made why I should make in the one painting Dr. Qureshi plus the village in the background, and somebody standing and waving hand or saying, come here, this is the place. So I have many stories like when.
So I'm just going to interrupt you because you're not.
Yeah.
Some of you may not be familiar with the Dr. Qureshi ones. Tell us, there are some narratives in this. I find that you had much stronger emphasis on figures maybe in the past.
Yeah.
In this show, there are some paintings with figures, some really without. But a couple of them, if we can take these two,
yeah.
Explain to us how there is a narrative, but then how do you work against that whole Baroda tradition of narrative as well?
Yeah. So here, when I said only the one glimpse came to me, under the flyover, people like cook sometime, like when you're in the traffic jam, or we always, and I've seen the people reacting, like anybody, like the rickshawala or person is sitting in a very posh car, they're looking at the one visual below and somebody's chopping the vegetables, somebody's making, and they're also very casual, like they're in their bedroom, or they also, those groups are like, they don't really react in that way, somebody's looking at or not, if they're scratching, or they're sitting like this casual, and they're making the food, or waiting for the food, making till that time, they're chatting around. It's almost like a very private thing, but it is a open theater. So that whole thing fascinates me, like looking at the whole process of, and the fragrances also coming, what they're making, if they're making the chicken or fish, that whole thing coming to the aroma. When you're so hungry, sometimes I'm like very hungry and there's no option to eat somewhere, suddenly he's making the food, or some smell coming, so I'm part of that. Should I go there and eat? And if I'm there, or so he was cooking the chicken, that one, but it's not like very obvious in the corner.
We can go there maybe, all of us, and just.
So it is a part of that thing is cooking, and suddenly I see the one bird is also watching that, like chicken cooking, like bird is cooking and bird is watching the same process, almost like, then a socio-political thing comes to my mind, like that, how I dealt with that is not only the landscape and the quick thing, like looking at the bird is feeling that's what's cooking, and bird is looking at, like birds are around, they are also left over, they're waiting for that, something is they're throwing from that whatever they're cutting, or they don't want the pieces, and they're also the part of that thing, like they're throwing something, and dog is also waiting for that, and they grab and they share those kind of things, they share those. So here is bird also appear, but not bird, I don't want to appear like a bird, like I don't want to make the bird as a realistic. The storytelling is coming and appearing and dissolving. The same time is whole background coming, and the late offerers, I think offerers is like this person came in the one animal, or there's a butcher shop, like in nearby me, and one day there is the conflict between that father and son. The son was not happy with the thing, like about his business, like I don't want to do the way you do, like I don't like that profession. So when suddenly he came with the food for the goat, and he asking, where is that goat? And he said, it's gone. The late offering, like late offerer, like he's holding you can see that one person is coming, the animal, right, and his the food is spilling off here, and this person is But you see, this person is holding the body like this. He's holding the head of the goat here, and the rest of the body is still here. But it's not like a cruelty I'm making. I'm not making any kind of a blood oozing or something, but balancing in between that. It should not appear like that whole act, but it should slowly appear, But whole treatment of narration and the figuration now comes in that way.
This work has this wing which is very prominent.
Yeah.
And so again, a bird, an animal life, that has always been very prominent in your work. But
Yes.
this is an unusual kind of composition for you, I think. Such large strokes.
Yeah, large strokes. So even I was making this work, like you can see, because I don't want to say very obvious things, but that I made the one person who's talking about something in the somewhere in the Dahisar side. I went there, and he's talking about this, his direction of he's the leader, he's a political person. But I made that person, like you can see somewhere, it slowly appear while looking at it. But I was making the entire landscape and people and different landscape around that, and I was almost complete that painting. And one day, in the next morning, I entered to my studio, and one bird came and it's just very close to my face, and it just gone like this. And I'm the person who love birds, but that time, what should I say to that act? Should I just kill that bird, or what should I do that with the bird? Like very angry about the whole thing, like rage. So that flipping thing remains, like the flipping, like still like I'm feeling when I went inside, it's a flipping going on, like something is like going on in my mind. And I made that, like in that thing, I made the entire stroke, like 6-7 feet strokes on the one side. And it's almost like I thought I'm spoiled the painting, but making the bird, but this is the bird is making, but bird I'm not making the kind of because I have not seen the bird, I felt the bird, the flipping part, the movement.
And there's a lot in your work, I think, that it's not, again, repeatedly, it's not just what you see clearly, but it's some kind of impression, some kind of feeling. The smell, the touch is very important, tactility is very important, fur is very important.
Fur is important.
So really it's like within a visual medium, you're really condensing your feelings which come from all your senses. You're speaking of aromas, you're speaking of cooking. So I think that's really something that is crucial to your work. As well.
So that's what I was not like, if you say the visual art journey for me, the photographing thing or getting some kind of a reference things for your work, it never inspired me that much, because it gives very clear, anything comes very clear thing.
We can move here and you can speak about it with reference to this.
So here is also familiar path. So that I think that question, what I was saying about the clear thing, like so it appears in that way. Like here about familiar path, if something is happening, I made the animal is waiting the big horizon when he's looking at that side. But I treated the animal not because sometimes it appears to me like a bird also, or sometimes not making the entire thing specific. So is having some bird is sitting, and same time, so sometimes when she's in the forest, you don't know what animal is sitting there, what bird. Sometimes give the illusionary feeling. But when you made the specific thing very in the detailed manner as an artist, so it leaves the background completely. Then it comes focus into that. So it is an illusion of being a bird or being this thing, and somebody familiar path, or like you struggle to walk that time. Somebody stuck somewhere in the muddy hole or somewhere, and he's trying to come out, and somebody is holding him. But in the same path, you've seen that thing happen in that path, because there is many stories like something happened to this path, or when you're going to the village road, like something happened in the Bombay, and so something happened in the history also, the socio-political thing. अच्छा उनके वो जब काम कर रहे थे तो ऐसा हुआ था, यहाँ पर ये किसी ने हुआ था, यहाँ पर ऐसा कभी था. So that was always I'm thinking about, and about the anything about the related to the war and conflict, or anything about any incident appears to me as the familiar path, like whom you hearing the stories. So it appears to me like there is the face, but I don't know to make the face, because sometimes it remains like a stone lying in on your way, and he's very familiar because you have a familiar story regarding that path. So it appears, but if you make the face, then it disappears. So I want to make it's appearing and disappearing. Like people have the different notion. Like when you're coming to the Sassoon dog, and when you're talking to the, I always talk to people who are anywhere I go, like to around people, like the person who's there, who's making some ventilator cleaner. He's kept his small hen around. So like he always having the hen around. In that he kept the hen. He's not eating the hen, but his emotional attachment with the hen, the story. But when he's not there also in the shop, but hen appeared to me. His path and everything appeared to me. So that everything, the news also, any news or anything appeared to me in that way. Then the Chhattisgarh feeling also comes to me. The whole, when I'm treating the landscape, so it's not like I'm treating the Chhattisgarh landscape. It's about the very globally, but how I feel anywhere, in any part I go, wherever I'm walking in the Bombay or Baroda or anywhere, like in any part of the world. But it's like that, it appears to me like something is very familiar, some emotion is very familiar path in that way.
Because since you distance it from the immediate visual,
Yeah.
I think that also allows everybody who sees the work to bring their own impressions of the work. For example, when I look at these works, I see the elements as very important. Earth, this feels like fire, that feels like water.
Yeah.
So for me, when I first looked at it, it was really a show about the elements. And then, of course, the jungle is very much present, the feeling of it. So I think that kind of monumentality and that kind of elementality in your painting and the painterliness really kind of, for me, make this major show by a major painter. And I don't know, now we have a lot of people who'll ask you questions about individual works, but I don't think, since we said half an hour and there are many other shows, those who want to go ahead to the others, we'll let them go and we'll continue speaking about individual paintings with you if you want. But the official sort of talk, I think we can end more or less on time right now.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Amitesh.
Thank you so much.